Kia ora and welcome to Cinema in Context, where we discuss all things film and the connections between. My name is Jeremy Downing.
I'm William Chen.
And I'm Sarah Watt.
And each month at Cinema in Context, we discuss two films, one current and one retrospective, with some connection. It could be the same actor, the same director, or a similar theme. This month, we're discussing the Bourne Identity, which came out in 2002, and Extraction, which came out on Netflix this year. Obviously, we are very limited with our choices at the moment with the amount of films coming out, but still happily choosing the Chris Hemsworth Netflix extravaganza. Please be aware that there will be spoilers discussed of both films, but before we jump into our discussion, let's get a summary. So I'm going to hear from William first. Give us a summary of Bourne Identity.
Of course. So Bourne Identity, again, came out in 2002. It's based off loosely, the first book in the Bourne series by Robert Ludlum, directed by Doug Liman, about an amnesiac super spy played by Matt Damon by the name of Jason Bourne, who travels through all these exotic European locations in the dead of winter, trying to figure out what the heck happened and why he was left dead floating in the ocean.
Excellent. And Sarah, Extraction.
Extraction, the Netflix film of 2020, stars Chris Hemsworth in his native Australian accent as something of a mercenary with who knows who he is or where he's come from. He's a man with no backstory who has to go and save the kidnapped son of a millionaire. And it's one big chase scene. There you go. So we're done talking about Extraction, I think. So, Bourne Identity. No.
Okay, let's jump in with Extraction, because, man, this was not a good movie.
It had good things about it. I think we can agree. Maybe
it had promise. I mean, I was positive at the initial moments of the movie. Yeah, and then the title came up.
I'm just going to say I really, really like Extraction, which may surprise no one. It has a lot of flaws. The main thing being which it's just way too long. You're just bombasted with action from all sides until by the end of it, it feels very numbing. Even though the action is amazing, it's too long.
Yeah, you get inured to it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
What was once astonishing and amazing just becomes very rote and middle of the road. Plus there's some weird political things and also some really, really strange offbeat comedy, which might be a positive, it might be a negative. Guys, did you know that Chris Hemsworth's character's name is Tyler Rake?
Yes.
And there's a scene in the movie, I don't know if you saw this, but he kills a baddie with a rake.
Oh, yes, I did. That's subtle, isn't it? That's kind of like a callback.
No, it's a call forward. Because
that's true.
At that time, you don't know his name is Tyler Rake.
That's
and when
true.
he says his name, I kind of let out a...
Yeah.
Because what the hell is going on?
I think it's fair to say, I don't even know why I was going to say in Extraction's defense, because I'm not sure that it needs it, but I think it's fair to say that Extraction, which is the directorial feature debut of Sam Hargrave. Sam Hargrave has a history, so before that he directed 5 short films, but mainly his history, right, is as a, to some extent a cameraman, but mostly a stunt coordinator. And so the key selling points of Extraction are the fight scenes, the chase scene, which I hope that we can agree is pretty expertly handled, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. So that's really what you're going for, is holy mackerel, there is a 12-minute or 20-minute, actually, a 20-minute sort of piece together one shot and things like that. And that's what makes it really startling. Plus it looks pretty. There's a lot of red, gold and green, which I like. A lot of filters. But when you, William, suggested that we might compare this with the Bourne films, which I find so intricate that even though I've watched all of them about 6 times over, I still couldn't tell you blow by blow what the plots were. I thought, are you kidding me?
Visually, I was very impressed by this film, and I kept saying, oh man, the lighting, The lighting is stunning, and there's some beautiful photography in Extraction. I actually think the direction was pretty good. Like, I think the issues with feeling too long are more around story and narrative. Like, there's not really a clear reason why each of the action scenes are occurring.
It's not
beyond...
really a story or a narrative,
No.
but I guess, yeah.
And one of the things that I was thinking was, you see him get shot at the start of the film, and you're like, oh, then it cuts, and I was like, okay, he's not going to die. He's gonna the lesson he's going to learn is that he needs to kind of he could never fix. His kid dies of leukemia. Is it leukemia?
Well, mystery illness.
Illness, something like that. No, lymphoma.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. And he couldn't save his kid. He's this guy that can kind of save anybody, and he couldn't. That's at least what I was thinking they were going for. And that his lesson would be that he has to kind of let go of that guilt and kind of let go of not having to own the safety of this child. And so maybe through the story with this kid that he's bullheadedly looking after, maybe there's a moment where he does have to let the kid go, quote unquote, that then ultimately saves the kid and kind of saves him. That would be, in my mind, a far more satisfying story. At least there would be some character development.
I feel like it is kind of trying to unsubtly touch on that, right? Why can't you just be nice to this little boy who has been kidnapped, ripped from his family, kept in appalling conditions, and is frightened for his life, and you won't even bond with him or tell him your name or ask him anything about himself? I know why. Flashback. Oh, okay, all right, yeah, no, so your heart is bruised and you don't want to open up to another child. Gee, I wonder where this will go.
But that's not the... I don't think that's the lesson he needs to learn. Well, that's not the lesson that's inhibiting his life. Like he's...
What do you think are the lessons inhibiting
it's undeveloped,
life?
right? So
Yes,
they had a clearer focus. Like, there's an opportunity here to have a clearer focus of what his character was grappling with, that the story would help unpack. Yeah. Like that moment where he does open up to him in that room. Yeah. I'm like, this is completely unearned. There's this guy just like spilling his guts to this kid, and this kid's just like asking him question after question after question. I'm like, this is weird. This is not how human interactions... not with what we've seen them go through.
I suspect that with respect to Hargrave, and actually the 4 writers who are attributed to this film, I suspect they were like, look, we've had quite a lot of action, we need to have an emotional moment.
Yeah.
Go. You can handle that one, Joe. Joe writes that scene, and then we'll get back into the action.
But it is surprising because, as you say, like Joe and Anthony Russo are 2 of the 4 writers. They're also producers, and they're known from the big Marvel movies, but also from Community and other smaller sitcoms. And they have a history of just having really good balance with character and comedy and action. And this one, maybe because it was based off a pre-existing script. Like, I was reading through, and apparently the script has been in development hell for like a decade. And maybe it was just, we got to focus on the crux of the action, which is this rescue mission gone wrong. But yeah, completely agree, Jeremy. That scene in David Harbour's bedroom where it's like action, character, action, felt so strange. Like the pacing was completely off.
Beautifully shot though.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And the production design of the house was incredible. There was like a green.
Yeah.
It was green and really impressive.
It felt real. Like, not oftentimes do you have space that feels lived in a movie like this.
Yeah. The David Harbour character was so clearly a mole, not a mole. What's the opposite? Like, he was a traitor.
Yes, a betrayer.
And the only female character in the whole film, she was strange as well, like really underdeveloped.
She was a video game character. That's what it is. Like, the whole movie feels like it's inspired by video games.
I did feel like that. I was watching, this is like watching.
Do you mean because she was wearing a crisp white blouse that was unbuttoned quite low?
Because she is in any
yes.
Okay. but even more so, like, she is the female handler of your player character, right? She is the person saying, Mr. Bloggs, head to point X to take out this outpost. And it's been in your Resident Evils and your Metal Gear Solids. It's always the same kind of stock character. And she is that character writ large in an action movie. And I really feel like, especially if we're going to compare this with Bourne Identity, like the evolution in action movies between 2002 and 2020, there's so much of a video game influence. Like, everything that Chris Hemsworth does, especially at the end of the movie, at the big bridge sequence, it feels like right, he's doing what I would do if I was playing a first-person shooter.
Yes.
A tank comes at me, I'm gonna try go find a way around and route the tank. I'm gonna try hide behind stuff, and it's really, really interesting to see this new generation, I guess, of writers and directors and cinematographers just be brought up with interactive fiction and interactive gaming, and then translate that to the big screen by cinema, which is really cool. And that's definitely not something you feel when watching at least the first Bourne film. Like, it does not feel like a video game. It feels like classic spy/action movies, and it's shot in a very, very different way.
But so we're going to leap back and forth here, I know, because there's so much to say about all of these. But I remember that the Bourne Identity was very striking stylistically for its shaky cam or its handheld leaping around quite a lot. Am I right?
Not
Supremacy,
so Identity.
right?
It
Comes into
starts with
Supremacy.
Supremacy, where it goes
see.
crazy with Paul Greengrass and the
Yes,
shaky cam.
yes.
Yeah.
Because Doug Liman is the director of Bourne Identity,
Yes.
is that right? And then, of course, Greengrass took on Supremacy and Ultimatum, and they feel very akin. And because I feel like, because we're not really going to go too far into the Bond movies, but after Daniel Craig brought the Bond movies back, you remember how everybody starts to say, well, Bond has gone very much more like Bourne in a lot of ways, stylistically as well, with the long follow shots and the fight scenes and the shaky cam and all the gritty backstory and all that sort of thing. Yeah, very interesting.
And then with the Bond films, it's not until Spyfall. No, what's it called?
Skyfall. Although
Spyfall.
I know. I knew it was wrong. I bet
that would have been on a post-it note on the whiteboard for about a minute.
Skyfall is Sam Mendes. Sam Mendes directing. He brings back that more romantic quality of filming.
Yeah.
With the director of Extraction, who's Sam. What's his name? Hargrave.
Yeah.
I'm winning with the words today. If he has a better script, I can see him making a really good film. Like his sensibility of like stunts and photography, and whilst there was some clunky pacing, the actual way the scenes moved,
It's so fluid.
really fluid.
Yeah.
And I think that it just didn't have the narrative behind the plot to really
which
lift
is what
it up.
would have made it amazing. And isn't it interesting that it was a Netflix movie? Do you think that they just went, look, we don't have to make as much of an effort because it's not going up against Tenet?
People are going to see it anyway.
Exactly.
They're paying for it. Why would
Captive
you not?
audience. Do you know what I mean? No, but seriously, right? So we'll give them something that enlivens their miserable Wednesday night in lockdown. It looks amazing. We'll take them to India / Bangladesh. We'll make it look pretty, we'll make it exciting, but we don't have to worry about backstory because they're all.
I don't think nobody makes a conscious choice like
they
that.
do. Everyone's like, oh my god, these people, they're all going to be worried about the world as it is. We don't want them bummed out about
Let's
its kids.
devote like sections of our life to this project and millions of dollars, and let's not worry too much about the finer
story.
details.
Oh, who needs a story?
Okay, but that long sequence is incredible.
In Extraction.
Yes.
Yes.
That is brilliant. The best part of the whole film.
Oh yeah, hands down. It has such energy to it. And even though we just talked about 1917 earlier this year, and everyone is getting on the Wanna train, and it's easier now with digital stitching and with all the technology involved. But even so, just how they plan it out, how the camera it doesn't just follow Chris Hemsworth.
No.
Like it follows the baddies for a little bit, follows the kid Ovi while he runs away. And everything is so geographically sound. There's no continuity errors. The action is so in your face and out of the blue sometimes. Like when Chris Hemsworth bursts, I think, out of a doorway and just stabs a guy 10 times. And then, of course, it just keeps going.
Yes.
And going and going. And two people fall off a building.
That's the part of my jaw which was putting a gate just like dropped.
Did you guys see the making of video
Yes.
I sent you?
You should watch it.
How they
It's-
shot that was they had the two stuntmen go off an awning. And Sam Hargrave he jumped off with a handheld camera with them, with a harness. And it's like, this is why this movie is incredible, because the director himself is willing to, leap off buildings with his actors.
It's extraordinary, because did he shoot, he wouldn't have shot the whole thing, but he shot some
A
of
lot
those
of
key
it.
scenes,
Yeah.
right? Which is absolutely...
He's strapped on the front of a car with a harness, and how they get the whole, camera outside, camera into the car, camera out, is he had a crew member unhook him while the car stopped. He ran with the Steadicam towards the window and just thrust his arms into the window of the car as far as they would go. to shoot like the dialogue scene inside. Like, holy moly, this is amazing filmmaking.
And you feel the difference, right? It's like we talked about it with the Tom Cruise stunts in Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And you feel it, or I think about Zoe Bell on the front of the car in Death Proof, and you know she's actually on there.
Yes.
You know it's a movie, but you're like there's an element of danger to this, and you feel that realism.
So the fact that Sam Hargrave was the stunt coordinator in Atomic Blonde, which I hadn't realised, and so I rewatched that fight scene in the stairwell. And it's interesting you say, William, about the first-person shooter point of view, because that feels very much more like the camera is a dude standing in the stairwell, panning left, panning right, watching what's happening, but it is nowhere near as visceral as the extraction scene, which is incredible because it isn't just in the stairwell and then in the apartment, but it actually, of course, traverses the streets of India, gets in and out of vehicles and all that sort of thing, which is definitely a step up. Incredibly powerful.
It's like it's really hard to film dance sequences, and you need someone who's effectively a dancer to be operating that camera so they can weave in and out of the dance. Because you can't just film the dance like it's on a stage. You have to be a part of that dance and know where you're going to move your camera. So stunts are effectively a dance, and it's great to see a director who's got that experience literally throwing themselves into the scene. And
I think of the word choreography a lot, particularly in long takes, because even in the Atomic Blonde fight scene, there's some pretty impressive moves by Eddie Marsan and Charlize Theron. And you think about the amount of rehearsal and preparation that will have gone into this so that they know how to get out of the way of. And it's similarly in the extraction scene. When you watch the making of, you'll see that Chris Hemsworth and the main baddie are down in the street fighting, and a scooter zooms through the middle of them. Now that's got to be well coordinated because that is actually going to happen. So
and in the making of video, they show you rehearsing that. So it's Chris Hemsworth versus Randeep Hooda, who's awesome. He's such a presence. But in the video, they have just a stuntman holding a huge piece of foam, like running through to mimic the scooter, and it's really, really
and then having
fun.
to leap out of
just
the way.
timing every single beat.
He's and that what's his,
Randeep Hooda.
Randeep Hooda. He's probably the most well-developed character in the whole film.
That's funny.
You care about. I cared about him more than anybody else.
And that's interesting actually, because normally the hoods aren't, are they? And if we do quickly flip back to the Bourne Identity, Supremacy, Ultimatum, where you've got a miscellany of New Zealand actors sometimes playing, or in Identity, I don't know, Clive Owen and whomever, playing the assassins, you don't normally get any sort of backstory about them.
You get very brief snippets. Like you see Clive Owen teach his son piano, and then like cut. Yeah.
And in Supremacy, you know that Martin Shorkash's character is also ex-Treadstone or Blackbriar.
Yeah.
And but other than that,
Let's reflect on the fact that Clive Owen is a bit character in that movie, and now he's just not even on the scene.
his
career.
I'm sure he's busy.
I thought you were going to go somewhere else.
No,
Jeremy. I mean, do you guys remember him as the big bad of what was that movie called? The Luc Besson's space epic that we really like. I really liked. Valerian.
I missed that
and
one,
the
yes.
City of 1,000
Was he?
Planets.
I don't even remember him being in it.
He was the general or the admiral.
Oh yeah, vaguely.
And he was like, humanity must come first. And it's like, man, that's Clive Owen.
Now, unintentionally, guys, this is a perfect segue into Children of Men. So
nice.
True, and I do love him in.
He's amazing, and he is wonderful in that film. But so, of course, are the long shot, not stitched together.
No.
No, that is stitched together.
That the car
No,
scene.
not the car chase.
No.
Right?
Yes, it is. So there's the final shot where the camera in the car is all happening, but when the camera moves out of the car, there's a cut.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
No,
to
that's
burst
still
your bubble.
good. That's still
My
good.
world is slightly less magical now.
because there's all that contraption on top of the car, right?
Yeah.
And then the car seats all move down so the camera can move around.
Yeah.
But of course, you have to see the car drive away.
Yeah,
So
that's
and
true.
it's when it goes over the.
I always
the
thought
car
they
door.
just CGI'd out that stuff, but no, you're right.
But that's not to diminish it at all.
No.
So
No, stitching together shots is like, I mean, it's as long as it's not noticeable.
Yeah. So that's Quaron, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Quaron, if you're listening, we still think it's amazing. And look, it's seminal, right? It's the long shot, complicated fight scene, chase scene, car crash, everything that everyone goes back to.
But there's that one at the end as well, in the war scene. That's
Yes.
just as impressive.
You mean going up into the apartment building and everything?
And
Yeah.
explosions
The
down
tank,
the thing.
the kill
Yeah.
with the battery, that's holy
amazing.
moly, that movie.
Yes.
So Bourne Identity is not a film that kind of is flashy like that. It's very, like you said, William, classic, and I think that even in 2002 that felt fresh. That it was this classical 70s style of filmmaking.
But without it looking 70s, because
Yeah,
it
that's
doesn't
right.
look like The Conversation or any of those films at all. It's very,
Oh, The Conversation's a great film.
yeah. But yeah, so,
Yeah, and just Matt Damon really owning his status as an action hero.
Yeah.
He'd not done a film like that before, as far as I'm aware. He looks very young in Identity.
Do you know who else looks really young? Walter Goggins.
Is Walter Goggins in it?
He's one of the tech guys under Chris Cooper.
Good lord.
And the camera went by yesterday and I was like, oh my god, that's Walter Goggins.
Wow!
and
And he
Michelle,
has some dark... Oh, and Michelle Monaghan.
in Identity and Supremacy, she's replaced in Ultimatum because it's someone else's team.
Oh my
but
gosh, all these wonderful actors.
But she was a somebody by then, and I rewatched Bourne Supremacy, and I was like, I know that's Michelle, and I don't understand why she doesn't have a bigger role, because I flicked through her IMDb, and sure enough, she'd been doing all this stuff, so it wasn't one of her breakout sort of roles at all.
What's that, Julia Stiles? She's in all of them.
Yeah.
Until she's mercilessly killed in the
It's
latest one.
such a bad movie.
It's so disappointing. You're finally bringing this character you've been in. Oh, that so annoyed me. I was waiting for the Julia Stiles character.
Greengrass, Gilroy, together again. Oh, wait, did Gilroy... No, Gilroy didn't write that one, right? That was only Greengrass, and Gilroy, the solo Gilroy movie was that dumb Jeremy Renner one about the chems.
I didn't mind that one. I mean, it sort of became superhero.
Where are the chems? I need my chems.
That's the Bourne Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it. Rachel Weisz, Philippines.
Oh, okay.
Was it Philippines?
I'll watch it again, but I do remember just feeling really, really sad inside through the whole film because Jason Bourne wasn't in it.
Well, I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed that film, whereas that Jason Bourne film was... I don't even remember anything
No,
about
it was
There was
very,
a riot
very
in
low
Greece.
fi.
There was something about, like, I don't know, hacking.
Yeah.
So disappointing, because Ultimatum
WikiLeaks.
is such a perfect movie.
Yeah.
So there is another comparison that can be made, gentlemen, between Bourne Ultimatum and Extraction. And this is the use of extras versus the use of real people in massive crowd scenes. So something that I found fascinating about Bourne Ultimatum is that there are two pretty major scenes. I love the Waterloo Station scene more than almost anything I've ever seen in my entire life. And they were not able to shut down Waterloo Station, and they were only able to film, I think it was between 10 and 4 during the day, because obviously that you couldn't do it while you had your intense commuting time at either end. But that meant that there was just Joe Ordinary, tourist and English person or whomever in Waterloo Station while Paddy Considine's being shot in the head by a sniper and all that nice stuff. And it was extraordinarily well handled, and it's an incredible scene. And similarly, as you will have seen in the making of Extraction, they couldn't clear the streets in order to do those scenes. Similarly, actually, going back to Bourne Ultimatum in Tangier, they couldn't, or Tangiers, as they call it the whole time, I think, don't they? Whatever. They couldn't clear the alleyways and the markets and everything, so they just bundled on through. So you've got Julia Stiles and Carlo Barnes, the one who's after... No, Desh, the chap who plays Desh, who's after her, running down the alleyway and causing havoc among genuine Moroccans.
Wow. How does that work for permissions?
Well, I think they would have had more trouble shutting it all down. From what I've heard or seen or read anecdotally, maybe this was in the special features of the DVD, I can't remember. Damn, I find those fascinating.
But I mean more in terms of like showing people's faces. How do you get their consent? Maybe you don't need maybe in those countries you don't need consent for filming.
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know.
Like in New Zealand
You couldn't possibly.
You need consent for people to be shown on camera.
Do you just get someone standing by the entrance of Waterloo Station with, like, forms?
I can't imagine.
Maybe. And they're all
Please sign off.
all these pieces of paper.
Oh yes, actually, no. I know how they'll probably handle it. It's like when you come into the airport and they say we are currently recording Border Patrol, whatever it's called.
Oh, right.
You know, if you have any objections to this, let us know.
Oh,
Your
right.
image may wind up
Okay,
on a
that's
really
probably good,
boring,
yeah.
low-grade television show.
Yeah. So
But we can't guarantee it.
Bourne Identity, has a much more of a slow build compared to the other ones because they're establishing, and it's the mystery, right? He doesn't know who he is, and they sort of milk that mystery for all it's worth in the subsequent films. But it's a great mystery of him going in and finding his identities and And of course, there's a lovely crashing of two worlds together with the Franca Potente character, which is, I guess, to compare it to the relationship between, I want to call him Jake, but it's not because it's
Tyler
Rake.
Rake.
Tyler Rake.
Yeah.
Tyler Rake or / Brad. You should be a Brad.
And his handler.
Like he could have been a Chris.
His previous wife.
You know, it's with the kid. No, with the kid I'm talking about.
Oh,
you know, building up a kid over the movie. The Stockholm Syndrome is obviously part of the story of Bourne Identity, but they build it up. It feels really earned by the end of it. And there's a lovely romance that's building there. And they're able to tell exposition on the road, which I always enjoy. It reminds me of the Terminator, the original Terminator film. All this exposition is happening whilst the action is happening. And the stakes are high. Like when they go to the family's house, I'm like, oh, this is, you don't want... The ex-boyfriend, is it? Or her ex-partner? Or
No, her brother.
Is it her brother?
Yeah.
Oh, and her nephew?
Wait, are you talking about Extraction or Identity?
Identity, right?
Oh, in Bourne Identity.
Yeah.
That's her previous lover.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Okay.
Clive Owen is her previous lover.
No, not Clive Owen.
Oh, sorry. No, not Clive Owen, because he's in the field. She goes to her previous lover
I feel like
house.
it's that.
Right,
He is.
It was maybe, did he have an affair with her?
Not sure, but definitely, I'm pretty sure Wikipedia said previous lover.
Yeah.
Anyway, goes there and it's the family and yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not making any point here. I'm just sort of reliving the film.
Just reminiscing.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore films where people, The Long Kiss Goodnight, Gina Davis, back in the olden days, is a case in point, where people have amnesia and they don't know why they know how to do something. And I freaking loved that film, the way that suddenly she was chopping a tomato and she's like, how do I know how to do this? And the fact that she can speak languages, right?
She's like, chefs do that.
And the
then
fact
she
that-
she throws the knife at the wall. Chefs do that. That's the cream.
And the fact that Jason Bourne is sitting in the diner saying, how do I know that guy's 250 pounds and knows how to handle himself? How do I know he's got a gun in his glove box? How do I know this? You know, and I love things like that. And then I love the characters' burgeoning realization of their own skills and all that sort of thing. You know, it's wonderful. I didn't get that from Extraction.
No.
All I got was, there's a secret here and I'm not interested in finding out what it is and you're never going to tell me.
I think that's because Tyler Rake has, he's not really a character. He's actualized as much as he could actualize.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because he's portrayed at the beginning of the movie as self-destructive. And he's looking for the bullet. You know, the guy who's lost his kid and he wants to end it all and all that stuff. And kind of the movie, well, his arc should be that he regains some humanity because of what he goes through. And I guess it is there in the text, but it's just really flimsy stuff. And really, to be fair to the movie, that's not really what the movie is interested in.
No, but you need, for a movie to be satisfying, you need to have those different layers of storytelling going on. So that the moment where he gets shot on the bridge, if he is going to die, well, then that needs to be punctuated with a... Did you see what I did there?
Yeah.
It needs to be aligned with the emotional journey. There needed to be some choice that he was making that led to that action. Otherwise, it's just not satisfying.
Yeah.
Well, he saves the kid's life.
But he's been trying to do that the whole time. That's the whole movie.
Look, I'm not defending him, don't get me wrong. I didn't feel anything, but okay. I definitely don't... and you're not suggesting that they could have, but they definitely couldn't have saved his life at the end of that bridge scene and made him walk off into the sunset.
But they did, right? He takes him to a swimming lesson at the end of the movie.
Oh, shoot. Are you kidding me?
Wait, did you not see the stinger?
Who are you talking about? The kid or the Chris Hemsworth?
No, Chris Hemsworth.
Did you guys not watch the stinger?
What?
At the end of the credits... What? Did you not watch the stinger?
No.
I thought he died. Are you kidding me?
At the end of the credits, Ovi is... I guess we assume it's the States or Australia or somewhere that's not Bangladesh. He's at a public pool, he gets on the dive board, and he leaps in. And
I did see that.
And it's the whole, water metaphor,
Yeah.
Being submerged and rising up and all that stuff.
Born again.
Yeah, and when he comes out, you see a kind of fuzzy figure in the background in shorts.
That's so right. You're so right. How did I
missed
forget that?
I missed it.
Yeah, but I forgot it, which is
I was
probably
bored of the
worse.
film there.
Yes, I think think I just.
Oh,
I
that's so
shut
dumb
down.
though. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not Chris Hemsworth, and it's just this random guy in shorts.
Oh, yeah, no, maybe
Maybe
it's
he
like a dream person, like a hallucination.
Maybe he just needs glasses.
No, but maybe should have gone to Specsavers. But maybe it's like a ghostly figure of like, this is the guy who saved my life and who's now like given me this kind of this lack of fear going forward.
Maybe.
If you want it to be serious, I think. Can we talk about the other and very impressive action sequence in Extraction, which is the fight with the children? Because I'm like, what stunt people are they using?
Yeah.
Like, who's doing the stunts?
Are they
for those?
actual kids? Stunt kids?
Stunt kids.
The moment where he grabs that kid and like throws him against the car door.
Yeah.
I think I audibly gasped.
Yeah. I don't know how they did it. I genuinely don't know how they did it.
I can't remember it.
But was it dummies? Like,
I don't know.
Have you Googled it?
no, because I mean, I think it's a US Indian co-production. And so they obviously had a lot of Bollywood actors and a lot of like Bollywood film crew on set. But man, that was so impressive.
Yeah.
He calls them the Goonies from hell.
Yeah.
Do you know, this is a total digression, but I watched this fascinating thing about Buster Keaton. Okay, we're going way back, right? Very, very, very physical comedy. And grew up in a sort of a, not quite a circus family, but I think pretty much kinda. And his parents' act would be throwing him from person to person and throwing him around. And he learned to hold his body in a way, land in a certain way as a small child, and became very famous as almost floppy, I suppose, and that he was able to safely fall, hit against things and all that sort of thing without breaking. So maybe there's an amazing arm in Bollywood that's training young people to be like Buster Keaton.
Wow. Buster Keaton's incredible, and he's a stuntman.
Amazing.
If ever there was.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The original stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe there is a means, a way and a means, or maybe it's CGI. Or maybe they're dummies.
I think all of that. Oh, and also one more thing, which is I really did enjoy the David Harbour fight. Like it was so real. You'd feel like the tussle between this guy that is just this big dad bod dude, and then Chris Hemsworth. We've seen him kicking butt through the entire movie, and he just can't out-grapple this dude. And it's not flashy, it's just two big guys grappling on the kitchen floor, and it felt really different from the rest of the movie.
True that.
In a really good way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a trained guy who's now a little bit retired-y, but has still got it in him.
Yeah. I thought his character was just worth it for that fight.
Yeah, he was good. I
that was
enjoyed
cool.
him.
That was really cool.
I was genuinely just trying to remember the scene while you're talking, and then I was like, yeah, that's right, that happened. Why is this film so forgettable?
Because
It's because the central set piece is so cool.
Yeah, maybe. Let's go with
Everything
that.
else is like, not as
that
good. One final thing I want to say about Extraction, I have it on my phone, which is watching the end set piece with the bridge fight, and somehow like my brother called him the king of Bangladesh, like the drug lord big bad.
Which was he was barely even a thing, right?
I hate these villains who are like, oh, I'm so sophisticated. I'm not going to get my white suit dirty with this riffraff. No, armies of hell, please take out this one dude. And he spends the entire fight on these super binoculars, like looking at explosions, like, oh, he's over there.
Yeah.
But anyway, he starts sending his goons, right? And it is a literal army that Chris Hemsworth mows down. Him and Randeep Hooda. Like, guys with tactical vests and tanks. And it brought to mind a quote from Terry Pratchett in the book Guards. And the foreword of the book goes, they may be called the Palace Guard, the City Guard, or the Patrol. Whatever the name, their purpose in any work of heroic fantasy is identical. It is round chapter 3, or 10 minutes into the film, to rush into the room, attack the hero one at a time, and be slaughtered. No one ever asked them if they want to. This book is dedicated to those 5 men.
Oh, that's adorable. No one ever asked them if they want to.
The number of, like, literally faceless, because they're wearing body armor, faceless stunt dudes who rush at either Hemsworth or Hooda one by one and just get butchered is hilarious. And yeah, what's going to happen to Bangladesh after the events of the movie? I mean, they have no police, they have no military, it's all gone.
That's what I feel very uncomfortable with the amount of, I guess, brown faces that were getting like butchered in this movie and shot in this film, and I was like, this is terrible. Like, this is a mercenary going in, and he's supposed to be he's like our anti-hero.
For the sake of one guy and one kid.
Yeah, all the people that were killed with the cars driving through communities for this one drug lord's son.
I kind of was mixed about the whole thing, because on the one hand, we're supposed to think, these are all corrupt cops. And it's like, it's okay that they die, because they're getting money from, again, the King of Bangladesh. And, by the way, how they make the King of Bangladesh look so evil is also so over the top.
Just throwing the kid off the thing?
Toss kids off buildings!
Yeah. I was like, this is horrible!
Yeah.
And that kid that you thought was going to be a bit more of a character, he just wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. So, in Identity, you have villains that are far more well-formed. We know who are, there's a total of maybe three villains, right?
Assassins.
Assassins,
yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, then there's the villains who are in the office who are
Yeah.
sort of directing the pawns, aren't they? But yeah.
You have a clear sense of who they are, and there's a clear focus of their character development.
Sure.
And it's just so much more satisfying. And you kind of care. Like, you're sad when Clive Owen dies, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's a sad moment.
You are sad. Yeah, you're right.
And I didn't realise this because I watched some recaps of the other films as well. But Jason Bourne parrots Clive Owen's speech back to the dude in Ultimatum.
Yes,
I
to
didn't-
Edgar Ramirez when he doesn't shoot him.
Yeah.
I didn't pick that up when any
No.
of my rewatchings of Ultimatum.
No.
Because I don't think I've ever watched them in such quick succession.
No, but also, to be fair, sure, but to be fair, the line is something like, look at what they make us do, something like that. And it isn't the most memorable line. I mean, it's pertinent in both cases, but do you know what I mean? It's not, I don't know,
Yeah.
yippee-ki-yay, mother beep, or something like that you might remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cute.
And then you've got the sort of the revolving door of white older actors, don't you?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Chris Cooper,
David Strathairn.
Brian Cox.
No, I mean
Brian Cox.
the big bad, because Albert Finney in the third one.
Yep.
Yeah, Brian Cox.
Yeah. No, David Strathairn is the big bad in the third one,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Is
He's-
he?
Yeah. He's Noah Volsom.
Oh, I don't even remember. I was meaning more in the office.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is. No, he is.
Is he?
He's the deputy director.
He's the guy shouting at screens.
He's the,
I
he's
don't
the
even remember.
deputy director
Jesus
of the
Christ.
FBI.
It's Jason Bourne.
Yeah. Noah Volsom, I think his name is. David Strathairn.
Strathairn.
He's really good in that, actually. I've seen him be lame, but he was really good. Pam Landy.
Yeah.
She's great.
Oh my gosh, Joan
She's
Allen. I
brilliant.
love her.
And I loved the Saw twist in the third film, that most of the movie was happening
In the second
in
one.
the second film. I love those kind of
Well,
things.
so I look back on this because I found it fascinating because it was the most thrilling thing, because that I did remember in the Bourne Ultimatum when he's spying on her and he says, "Get some rest, Pam, you look tired."
Wow.
Oh, we'll get on to the movie song. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so it is. It's kind of a dovetaily thing. So then when I rewatched Bourne Supremacy, I was like, okay, so what happens after he says that to her? So he says that to her, and then he goes off and he makes peace, and he tells the daughter of the Russian family, "I'm really sorry, I think I killed your parents," and so on and so forth. So I've then tried to piece that together.
No,
and
he
then
does it. He does it before, doesn't he?
He does.
He has that chat with the girl before that.
I get you. So therefore, you're right. So then when you're watching Bourne Ultimatum, you're like, what is all the stuff that's happening here? Oh, yes, that's right. He's just walked out on killing Carl Urban in the underpass. Well, the car crash.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. That's where it picks up from. So then it's what's interesting, you're right, is watching the Bourne Ultimatum to see, well, what happens all in that bit there before he goes back to Pam Landy and says the thing.
But you don't. I remember when I was watching Ultimatum, I didn't realise that he was just leaving that car chase. It didn't,
No.
It didn't make sense. Sorry, it didn't make sense. It just didn't connect, which of course is the purpose of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the great, and again, spoilers for Saw 4, I think, or Saw.
Was it
Saw
3 or 4?
I think it's
can't
4. 4. It ends up that it's in the same. It all ends up in the same climax of Saw 3.
Oh, that's
But
clever.
you don't realise that until you're in the climax, and you're like,
Right.
"Oh my gosh, it's happening!"
It's all
And
been happening at the same
and
time.
it's really, really cool.
But also the films came out many years apart, so you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
After Supremacy, you forget a bit, watch Ultimatum, and then off you go.
So let's talk about the Moby song. It's iconic. Very old by the time you get to the fifth Bourne film.
So apparently, it was exactly the same for Identity and Supremacy, and then it was re-recorded, a slightly different mix of it for Ultimatum. Yeah, slightly different. I mean, not that you'd notice, but I just think it's so. I mean, look, I was there when Moby was massive, in the early 2000s. I think it is adorable that you would continue to use his song well into the 2010s to 20s. Or when did Ultimatum come out?
2007?
7?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Okay. But it still felt kind of cute that they'd still be banging that song
Well,
out.
it's quite an antithesis to the rest of the film, particularly Identity. Like, there's a sense of humour about... Not humour, but there's a sense of life about Supremacy in Ultimatum that is much darker in Identity, I think. A grittier element to it. But the Moby song is such a great way to cap off that story. And I love is it Nikki? Is her name Nikki?
Yeah.
And she does a little smile at the end, and you
Yes.
get the final shot of Ultimatum I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's the song becomes the way of letting us know he's all good, and
that he's going to rise up through water again.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
right.
oh my gosh, another connect.
Of course. Well,
let's talk about that lame metaphor in Extraction, because that's so dumb. I was like, this is clearly going to become a thing later, and then there's the kids telling the story, and it's just so dumb.
What, the water? The whole kind of
diving off water,
braving to die. Well,
I want to meditate in the waterfall pool. It looks so cool.
Yeah, that does look cool. But the metaphor's not clear. Like, you're drowning.
Gotta rise up.
You're just quiet and you're drowning. I don't know.
But then you live.
It's
and this is the
because-
same with Bourne, right? He's
Yeah.
constantly,
Bourne, I'm fine.
He's
I'm fine
constantly
with
jumping
Bourne.
off high places into water and maybe
Yeah.
being like shot to death and then swimming away.
I don't mind the Bourne reality, but I just mean an Extraction that they've got this lame story that they think is them
Yeah.
being clever with subtext.
Yeah. Well, like I say, they're probably like, we're gonna need something. We need girls to watch this film.
I guess maybe it's my.
Oh, it's got Chris. No, don't worry. We're fine. We're fine. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say maybe it's my Russo bias, but I thought some of the writing was pretty good in small snippets, like when
small
snippets, yes. Like when Tyler Rake is talking to his handler, what's her name? Nick or Vic? Nick?
Do we care?
She's wearing a crisp white blouse that's unbuttoned quite low. She looks amazing.
She's got a power haircut.
And her hair is not frizzy even in the heat.
Yeah, that's right. I did like how there was like zero romantic tension between them.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Cool. That's cool. And plus, she's from Patterson. Did you guys watch that?
Oh yes,
Yeah,
because
she was Adam Driver's
girlfriend in Patterson, the one who makes all the
Yeah.
cupcakes
I haven't seen
and
Patterson.
is obsessed with black and white. Actual, you'd like it.
Yeah,
nice
it's
film.
good. It's good. But anyway, what was I going to say? Wait, what was it? Oh yes, the little when he's on the phone to her and she's like, "Dump the kid, get yourself out, Tyler. It's pointless. He's a living." Or a dead living kid.
It's a zombie movie. I would have been happy if it turned into a zombie film.
This sounds like amazing dialogue. This is
You're really selling
good.
it.
The writing, right? The quality. But then of course, in most other movies, he would have that internal struggle of like, oh, I'm having feelings, like, oh, this is like my surrogate child. And in this movie, like the phone's loud enough for Ovi just to overhear, and it's like, are you gonna leave me? Which I thought was really cool.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
appreciate
nice
that.
little narrative shortcut. Like, okay, we don't need all that stuff. Let's just
Yeah.
get straight to it.
And
Yeah.
I will, just to kind of criticise the Bourne films, it always annoyed me, even back when I saw it as a teenager, that the Franca Potente character dies. Like, I know she has to die
that's so-
for the story for her to be out
She
of the
doesn't die in
story.
the books.
But it's like, it's such a sexist trope, right? That the woman has to die to
It's
to
true,
give motivation.
but I have to say, it horrified me on first watch that she died, and so I felt all of the pain and horror for him. So it was very powerful and effective. So, I don't feel that it was just a plot point, a plot trigger sort of thing. I think, to be honest, if she had lived and then they'd gone on the run a bit longer, I would have gone, really? So I thought it was a brave move narratively.
It's like the girlfriend in the fridge, though, right? Is
Yeah,
it a fridge?
it's the ultimate fridging.
Yeah.
Because her character is fine in the books, like, and they get married and stuff. It's
What?
Yeah, it's
What
it's
if
a
they
huge
were-
departure.
Nobody wants to attend the Bourne wedding.
What if they were to break up and fake her death, and then she went and lived somewhere else, and then maybe at the end of the film he just saw her from afar every now and again?
Oh, right.
Gosh!
Oh no, that's Mission Impossible. Alright, sorry. Okay.
They tie off that loose end.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Cinema in Context. If you enjoyed our podcast, then please share it with your film-loving friends. You can listen to Cinema in Context on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Radio Public. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, which are great places to let us know what you think of this episode or give us suggestions for future films to discuss and compare. Look out for our next episode in a month's time, and since we're all together again,
Hey.
ka kite anō!
Well, my name is Tyler Rake. I kill people with a rake. When people try to fuck with me, they make a big mistake. My specialty's extraction, guaranteed satisfaction. And with my jobs, I always add a little extra action. I can take 100 bullets and still finish what I start. There's just one thing I can't extract, the pain inside my heart. So I pop a dozen pills and rack up 1,000 kills. Then go extract another kid, cause that's what pays the bills. Yeah, my name is Tyler Rake. I'll kill people with a rake. So don't you try to fuck with me or your bones are gonna break. Yeah!
Well done, well done. For those of you still listening, that is Doug Dillerman, 2020, and thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.